Well, hello and welcome to Bingewatch, the podcast where we take a look at the hottest new TV and film releases on streaming television platforms. I'm Hannah Fernando, the editor of Woman magazine.
And I'm Ian McEwan, writer on TV and Satellite Week magazine and whattowatch.com. And today we're looking at the new releases for the week starting Friday the 4th of March 2022, including the Arctic survival drama Against the Ice on Netflix, and the return of mockumentary series Meet the Richardsons on UK TV Play.
And we'll also be looking at sun-soaked Britbox Whodunit Murder in Provence and Netflix thriller Pieces of Her starring Toni Collette. But first, Ian, what is in the news?
Gemma Arterton will star in Disney's wryly funny drama Culprits about a group of people who carried out a heist but are now mysteriously being bumped off. What else is in the news, Hannah?
Jack Davenport will star in Amazon Prime Video's sharp comedy drama 10%, which is inspired by award-winning French show Call My Agent. And it will follow the ups and downs of life at a London talent agency. I'd be quite interested in watching that, I can tell you.
OK, well, we're going to start off this week with a feature film. It's a tale of survival against the odds. It's called Against the Ice, and here's a clip.
I'll need a volunteer to accompany me across the ice cap to retrieve the findings of the missing Denmark expedition.
Captain, I'd like to come with you, if you'd allow me.
And what do you know about sledging and surviving on the ice when it's 40 below?
He's a mechanic. You're risking your life.
He's the only man willing to make the trip.
Well, I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones fan, Hannah, but if you are, you may know the Danish actor Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, who plays Jaime Lannister. Anyway, he stars in this as a real-life Danish explorer called Enjar Mikkelsen. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. And it's about an expedition that he went on at the beginning of the 20th century to Greenland because America was claiming that Greenland was actually split into two separate pieces of land and was claiming one of them. And so Mikkelsen was off to prove that that wasn't the case, so that it still belonged to Denmark, basically. His co-star in this is Joe Cole, British actor who you may know from Peaky Blinders and that very good Sky drama Gangs of London. So he plays Eva Everson. Essentially, the expedition is setting out to follow in the footsteps of the previous expedition to prove that this theory about Greenland is false. Who disappeared? And Mikkelsen says to his crew, I need a volunteer to come with me across the ice. And the only one who volunteers is Eva, who is a mechanic. He's a rookie. So it's the story of these guys heading off into the Arctic wasteland with sleds and dogs, and they experience all manner of difficulties, hunger, very low temperatures, polar bear attack, you name it. So it's got lots of thrills in it, but also it sort of examines how the isolation plays on the mind, and one of the two of them starts to sort of have strange visions and starts losing it a bit. Yeah, it's a really good old-fashioned sort of adventure exploration film. The chemistry between the two, I think, works very well. It's not kind of overblown in any way. Also in it, Charles Dance, who is a co-star in Game of Thrones, of course. He plays a Danish official in this. I would say when you see the young lad getting very close to one of the sled dogs, his boss is saying, well, don't get too close to the dogs. Alarm bells do start going off. I won't say any more. But yeah, it's a terrific Arctic adventure and survival story, and I very much enjoyed it. What did you think, Hannah?
Well, this is what I thought. I really don't like the cold. It made me feel very, very cold. There has been power cuts of late, which I felt particularly cold. So it made me feel even colder. What I took away from it, the landscape's really beautiful. I think it's amazing. I think it's really well done. It feels quite big budget, and also kind of fills in a bit of history too. But I think that the whole, what made it enjoyable to me, because not necessarily something I would go to, but what kind of I liked was this sort of the story really is centred, although it's action-packed, it's sort of harnessed in friendship and love, and also when you are isolated like that, like you say, your mind wanders off and you kind of have some kind of weird thoughts and what have you. And I think that isolation is portrayed really, really well. So I did quite enjoy it, but it did make me feel very cold. I had to put a blanket on.
Now we're going to move to rather sunnier climes for our next offering, which is a new series on BritBox called Murder in Provence.
Give me the scoop.
I tell them you're a bit like a detective.
And hugely more important.
Obviously.
One blow, that's all it took.
How long is this going to take?
That's up to you.
She's like that.
She hasn't got any shoes on.
Santé.
Love and death bang right up against each other. Thank God for the love.
You don't need a blanket for this one. You really don't, because this just makes you feel, well, lovely and warm. Apart from the fact there are murders. So this is a 3-part drama on BritBox, and it's set in the French city of Aix-en-Provence, or Aix-en-Provence, maybe that's better pronunciation. And it centres around this investigating judge, Antoine Volac, and he's essentially looking into a variety of crimes prior to the cases coming to court. Now, the first one centres around a murder in a university, a Professor Georges, and what I really enjoy about this is that although it's around a murder, it should be quite thrilling, it's kind of, exciting and what have you. You've also got the juxtaposition of him with his girlfriend and that family life and being called on a weekend, and when he's sort of planning to go away and have a lovely weekend in a lovely restaurant, etc., etc. And of course, there's sort of some humour there. At one point he says, oh God, why can't they just murder on a Monday, or something like that. Why does it have to be a weekend and ruin my weekend? And so you kind of have the actual home life of that person who's unable to take it home with them because you just couldn't, could you? So I actually really like this. I think it's 3 parts. So you don't have to be engaged for that long, but I think this might be something that's got some legs, actually. I think people will really enjoy it. It's where you're least expecting a murder, least expecting crime, and there it happens. And it is a real whodunit murder mystery. What did you think, Ian?
I didn't like it, I have to admit. Although I do like Provence. It's lovely, isn't it? Yes, so I found... Well, so it's Roger Allam, who I really like, plays the judge. And it was interesting that in the French legal system, the judge does interview the suspect. So he is reliably good in this. He's great. But I found the banter with his girlfriend, played by Nancy Carroll, I found it painful and not at all funny. And also, it took a bit of getting used to, because Allam is very quintessentially English type of actor, isn't he? And everyone's just playing it in their normal British accents.
I kind of understand why you don't like that relationship. They don't feel very well matched or very well cast in that sense.
Okay, I mean, I only watched the first one, which, as you said, is about the death of a university professor. I wasn't particularly interested in who'd done it. I didn't find any of the suspects particularly believable. So there's rival academics, and then there's also students who are up for a scholarship. I just didn't buy into it at all. But Allam is reliably good, as he always is, and at least the backdrop is pleasant to look at. But yes, I shan't be watching Eps 2 and 3. But yeah, I think if you like a bit of picture postcard French architecture and landscape and food and wine, it might be for you. Now, from Provence to Leeds, because on UK TV, it's the return of the mockumentary Meet the Richardsons, and here's a clip.
Stop it. I'm really hard to live with. You at least look like you're enjoying yourself. He's hard to live with. I'm a joy.
I don't show Lucy enough respect.
You need to make me some toast.
I ruined our friendship with the tenants.
I don't want to talk about Doctor Who anymore.
Lovely, David. That wasn't too bad then, was it? I mean, you could tell he's a sad little man in a big cardigan, can't you?
So before I start telling you about this, Hannah, I was lucky enough to have an online chat with the stars, Lucy Beaumont and her husband, John Richardson, both stand-up comedians, of course. And here's a little clip from our chat.
Hello, John.
Hello there. One never wants to start an interview by being exactly what the person expects you to be, but that looks like a really smashing cardigan.
Yeah, M&S, you can't go wrong.
Is it? That's a lovely, the collar detail on that is lovely.
Cowl neck.
Yeah, I like that very much. It looks soft.
Yeah, it's nice actually, yeah.
So there you go, a nice bit of chat with cardigan-loving comedian John Richardson. And I should add, other knitwear outlets are available. So this is Series 3. If you're not familiar with it, it's a mockumentary about the married and working lives of John and Lucy. And Lucy actually co-writes it. I think it's really well done because a lot of it you think, well, I suspect there are many aspects of their relationship are accurately reflected in this. So last time we saw them, they were leaving Hebden Bridge, which is where Series 1 and 2 were set, and they were supposedly going to London to set up a new life in London. However, as we rejoin, well, they're in Leeds. There's lots of celebrity guest stars in this series, as in the previous ones. In episode 1, you've got David and Georgia Tennant, and they join them for dinner, which doesn't go very well. There's a funny turn from Russell Kane, who is complaining about how he appeared on Pointless with Lucy, and she was really terrible on the quiz show. Melinda Messenger, who Lucy told me she was often mistaken for as a teenager. And there's quite a funny sequence involving the writer, Jeds Mercurio, creator of Line and Duty, because in this series, John is being considered for a role in the police drama. So yeah, I really like this. I think it's well done. Of course, John had in Hebden Bridge, he had a pub in his garden called the Dog and Bastard. Well, of course, he hasn't got that anymore, so he goes off to try and buy a real pub. So yeah, if you like this, it's more of the same, and I think very entertaining. Are you a fan, Hannah?
Yeah, do you know what? I wasn't a huge fan before, but we'll come to find later that I have tried to binge watch it again. But yeah, I am now. It's been a real grower. It wasn't something that I loved immediately. It kind of irritated me at first. It was a bit too basic. But I think now it does work, and it is quite funny. And also I think because they've done the rounds on, a number of different sort of talk shows and what have you, I think that's really helped to get to know them as well as people. So I think, yeah, I have enjoyed this so far, and I do think it is popular because it's come back.
Now I think we've saved the best till last this week, Hannah, because you're going to tell us about a new series on Netflix, which is thrilling, I must say. It's called Pieces of Her.
You ever have that thing where you think you know someone as well as you could possibly know anyone, and then one day you were totally wrong?
Yes, it is. Now, this is from the producers of Big Little Lies. There are 8 episodes, and this is really action-packed. Now, I need to be really careful here because I don't want to kind of reveal too much or give the story away too much. But Toni Collette stars in this thriller, which is set in a very sleepy Georgia town. And it centres around a young woman celebrating her birthday with her mother. But what happens at that point kind of is the starting point for this story. And essentially, it makes her question every part of her life, what is real and what isn't. And it really plays with your mind because, of course, when we're born and we're brought up in a family and parents are the most trusted people in the world and everything they say is right until you get to your teenage years, of course. You don't really thoroughly question anything, do you? You don't question exactly, well, you just don't question anything. You just assume that everything is in order and everything you've been told is true. Well, this is not the case. So huge secrets emerge about her past and not entirely palatable. So this really does play with your mind, I think. I think it's absolutely brilliant and it's very cleverly done. But I'm not sure I can tell you much more without... There's something big that happens where this all starts.
I agree. I really liked it. I watched episode 1, and I mean, we all know it, of course, but how great is Toni Collette, from all those years ago, Muriel's Wedding. She's done so much great work, and she is excellent in this, I must say. And it starts off really nicely because the daughter, Andy, who's played by Bella Heathcote, she's sort of come back from New York. Things haven't worked out for her. She's working for the police, sort of answering the telephone. And she has this tricky relationship with the mum, Laura, played by Collette, who is sort of has welcomed her back into her home, but she's trying to kind of get her life back on track, but Andy doesn't want to hear the advice. It's just a really well-observed mother and adult-daughter relationship. But as you say, there is then this key incident that we don't want to give away because it comes as a huge surprise and it changes everything. And then Andy sets off on this journey, the totally unexpected journey, and I can't wait to see how it turns out because she's going to discover all these things about, well, I don't want to say because I don't want to ruin it, but it is absolute quality, isn't it? And I can't wait to see how it pans out. Now, we've got to that time, Hannah, where you're going to tell us what you've been binge watching, so please reveal all.
Well, I touched on it earlier, but I did binge watch Meet the Richardsons because you don't need to see it.
It's very professional. I like that.
I know, I'm very professional. You don't need to go back and watch it, but I kind of, as I say, I didn't absolutely love it, so I kind of wanted to catch up. And also I'd been watching them on, interviews on things like Graham Norton, so I thought, yeah, I'm going to go and do that. So I did. Also my favourite, Would I Lie to You, because I absolutely love that. I watch that every single week. Standard for me. How about you, Ian?
It's documentaries for me this week, both of them on Netflix. So The Tinder Swindler is a remarkable story of a sort of scammer. And I started watching it thinking, well, anyone who gives money to anyone who they've met online must be an idiot. Not in this case. It's the most remarkable scam by a really accomplished con artist. Well worth a watch. And there's also a very good documentary about Boeing, the aeroplane manufacturers, and 2 crashes of their 737 that happened in close succession, and how the real story about what had caused them came out, and that's really good watch as well.
Talking of planes, did you watch? Is it Jet 367? What was it? The channel that showcased all the plane or live footage?
I didn't see.
Yeah,
that.
all the planes coming in. That really, the Storm Eunice and then Storm Franklin, and it was absolutely a YouTube sensation. It was huge watching these planes trying to land.
I'll check it out. Now, we've just got time to look ahead to next week, so what are we going to be binging on, Hannah?
Well, Lorna Watson is a crime-solving nun in a Father Brown spin-off, The Sister Boniface Mysteries, on Drama.
And Samuel L. Jackson stars in Apple TV's The Last Days of Ptolemy Grey, which is a new series about an isolated 93-year-old with dementia who's offered a miracle cure with a catch. So we look forward to those and more, but in the meantime... What